And in Georgia, the tension could not be higher. President Trump is looking to flex his influence in the Peach State as he weighs a possible run for office in 2024. The state's Republican leadership played a key role in President Biden's 2020 victory after declining to back Mr. Trump's claims that the election had been stolen. For more on all of it, let's go to CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. He's joining us now for more. Ed, good afternoon to you. I'm used to saying good morning. Glad to see you here on the stream. I'm curious about this race because if I were a betting man, I would have thought last year this time that Governor Kemp was in trouble. Former President Trump was coming down on him pretty hard. What's the state of the race these days, though?
Well, if you believe polling in this state that has consistently shown the governor ahead, the governor is probably going to win this thing and get above the 50% needed to avoid a runoff. It'll be a pretty strong repudiation of the former president who all but forced the former senator into this race. He's told friends that the phone calls just kept coming, and so he was convinced and cajoled into the race, but has not been much of a factor here in the closing weeks. Both candidates making final stops today, somewhat smaller or more muted ones because of the weather here across the state today. The governor was asked just a little while ago in a virtual press conference by local reporters who were supposed to have seen him on a fly-around today, but instead saw him over Zoom, about his relationship, or the lack thereof now, with the former president. Let me just quote to you what he said. He said, quote, "I've had a great relationship with Mike Pence." We'll get to him in a second. "I had a great relationship with President Trump. I've never said anything bad about him. I don't plan on doing that. I'm not mad at him. I think he's just mad at me. And that's something that I can't control." Why is he mad at him? As you said, he and the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, stood against him and said, no, we're not going to change the results of the Georgia elections in 2020 to somehow give you the electoral votes from this state and somehow get you reelected. We're just not doing it because the numbers aren't there and votes were cast otherwise. And ever since, the former president has been on a vendetta to get the governor and the sitting Secretary of State ousted in these primaries, but it doesn't look like he'll do it in the case of the governor. In the case of Brad Raffensperger, that race may go to a runoff in June. He's facing 4 other opponents. But the other thing to keep in mind tonight, given Kemp's strength and the fact that he is expected to win despite the former president's opposition, former Vice President Mike Pence will be here in the state to appear alongside the governor and, in essence, sort of stick it to his former boss and say, you may not support this popular governor, but I do, and this is the kind of Republican I want to stand with going into this year's elections and beyond.
So, Ed, with all of that in mind, how is former President Trump's involvement with these races both impacting voters in the Peach State and beyond?
Well, look, I mean, he, in essence, handpicked candidates to run in the top 3 Republican primary statewide contests: governor, senator, and Secretary of State. In the Senate race, Herschel Walker is going to walk away with this thing. He has blown away the primary field and is on his way to a general election matchup with Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock in what promises to be one of the most expensive, divisive, decisive Senate races of the cycle. It could very well determine the balance of power going into next year. So on that one, Trump essentially can check the box and say, okay, I did all right. In the governor's race, where again, he cajoled, he compelled, he forced, he urged David Perdue to get into the race against Brian Kemp, doesn't look like it's going to work. So he'll lose that one. That'll be in the red column, in the L column for him. Right. In the Secretary of State race, again, something we wouldn't normally care about, but that has to be watched because of the meddling by the former president and the fact that this was the elections chief that perhaps took it on the chin more than any other in the country back in 2020. We'll see whether Brad Raffensperger can pull it off or whether he gets forced into a runoff with a Trump-backed candidate, Jody Hice, who's a congressman who's opted to run for this position instead. And again, if he wins 2 of those 3, 1 of those 3, that sort of once again demonstrates the mixed bag that we've seen in some of these big contests so far, in North Carolina, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, where he won some, or his candidate, his preferred candidate, won some, and they lost others, or they're stuck in a recount. And it's a signal that, you know, not everyone's expressing fealty to him. There is some weakness, and there are Republicans, especially in battleground states, that are saying, no, I don't care what he thinks, or I'm not going to vote for that person because Donald Trump is supporting it. We've heard a little bit of that from voters here. We have also heard from the voters who say, if Donald Trump's telling me to vote for somebody, I'd vote for them 3 times if I could.
Interesting. All right. No doubt Mr. Trump himself is keeping.
They would do that.
Right. And no doubt that Mr. Trump himself is probably keeping a tally, very close tally. Ed O'Keefe, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Ed.